If I coordinated some competition, okay, I invited some of you to play in a game where you run a hypothetical political campaign, right? Sort of a simulation of a political campaign. And your goal is to run as disastrous of a campaign as possible, right? To win the competition, you have to drive the campaign into the ground as quickly and disastrously as possible. I think even if you were trying for such a competition, you would fail to beat the current Trump campaign, okay? Because it seems every day they come up with new ways to needlessly hurt their own campaign. And this latest round, as I told you in a different segment, is Trump saying that the Presidential Medal of Freedom is actually better, if you think about it, than the Congressional Medal of Honor, because a lot of the soldiers who get the Medal of Honor have been shot or they're dead, but you can get the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and you don't have to be hurt at all for that to happen. You don't have to be a hero of any kind. You can be Rush Limbaugh, someone that Trump gave it to. And that's actually better if you think about it. So I'll play that for you as a reminder if you watch, or if you didn't watch the other segment about this. And then I'll show you JD Vance trying to save Trump and getting asked about this, trying to defend him. It doesn't go well. But first, hear the context from the event yesterday.
I have to say, Miriam, I watched Sheldon sitting so proud in the White House when we gave Miriam the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's the highest award you can get as a civilian. It's the equivalent of the Congressional Medal of Honor, but civilian version. It's actually much better because everyone gets the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's soldiers. They're either in very bad shape because they've been hit so many times by bullets, or they're dead. She gets it, and she's a healthy, beautiful woman. It's very... And they're rated equal.
So this has, as I told you already, really generated, understandably so, a level of outrage even from conservative veterans and just decent people everywhere about what he said there. And I would scroll through the comments of that video to give you some examples of how people are responding, but I'd be scared that a lot of it would sort of violate the type of stuff we show on the show, because true rage, again, understandably so, about how he spoke about that. Well, then JD Vance at a press conference at the Milwaukee Police Association is asked about this. And what I want you to remember is he had many, many hours to think up a response. He knew he was going to be asked about this. It made the news, a huge story. And I almost thought that he would have something more effective. Not better, because no matter what, it was probably going to be dishonest. You can't really get around that one. But something that sounded better. But he didn't.
We'll do one more then.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Senator. I wanted to ask you, Trump has been getting attacked from his comments at the press conference yesterday about what he said about the top military honor. And veterans have pointed out that, he said that the civilian presidential honor is better than what wounded veterans have received. And I wondered, what do you say to veterans who think that's demeaning?
Well, look, I was with a group of veterans in Pennsylvania yesterday, and trust me, the veteran community is very, very much behind Donald Trump. So, look, what I would say to people is, look, what President Trump said during a ceremony, and I haven't seen the entire remarks, but my understanding is President Trump said during a ceremony that a person who received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, he was saying some nice things about her. He was saying some complimentary things about her. Donald Trump, I've seen give out a Congressional Medal of Honor. I've seen him give out a number of awards and commendations to military veterans, and of course, I myself am a Marine Corps veteran of the Iraq War. This is a guy who loves our veterans and who honors our veterans. I don't think him...
Except for those ones he called suckers and losers, right?
Him complimenting and saying a nice word about a person who received the Presidential Medal of Freedom is in any way denigrating those who received military honors. They're two different awards, and I think the president was saying some nice things about a person that he liked, and that's a totally reasonable thing to do.
So, a wild mischaracterization of what it is that people are taking issue with. Amy McGrath put it this way. Trump said the award he gave his rich donor was equal to and even better than the Medal of Honor. This is terribly offensive to the veterans who earned the highest national award for bravery and courage in combat. No way around it, JD. So again, if you're JD and you're dedicated to defending Trump no matter what, maybe there's not any way to get around it. Probably not. And so I shouldn't have been surprised to see his answer so weak in its addressing of the question. But indeed, it was that. Then at the same press conference, JD Vance was, this is kind of funny, was asked, hey, why do people, this is my wording, not the reporters, but it's the general idea. Why do people not like you as much as they like Tim Walz? And Vance doesn't seem to like this question.
Sorry.
It's okay. A new ABC Ipsos poll was out today. It shows that Governor Walz, Vice President Harris's running mate, has a higher favorability among Americans than you do. What's your response to that poll? And also, what can you do ahead of the October debate to try to win over more Americans and your campaign?
Well, look, I don't put much stock in polls, especially at this early level. I think Governor Walz was nominated just a couple of weeks ago. He's received a ridiculous media honeymoon where they've hidden, a lot of press have hidden some of the things that he said and done. Sorry.
Right, and we've addressed many of those talking points that he's referring to. But it's an interesting thing to say we're in an early period when it's so close to the election. You don't have that much time to go from a negative net favorability rating to the positive one that Tim Walz has. Maybe, JD, just maybe, there's a reason people aren't so happy with you. Maybe the way that you have chosen to conduct yourself, to flip-flop on your support for Trump. He likes to criticize Vice President Harris for being what he described as a chameleon. And he says that when asked about Trump saying that she turned black. So I guess identifying as biracial as being a chameleon to JD Vance, at least as he's trying to defend Trump. But he's not a chameleon, according to him, for calling Trump potentially America's Hitler and then supporting him and being his vice president. And maybe it's stuff like that, JD, or you disparaging people because they have made different life decisions than you, while you voice support for things that your party obstructs, like the enhanced child tax credit. Maybe it's stuff like that. Maybe there's a reason, and it's not just the media. The media. It's always the media. Every day we do a whole show that you can get access to if you're a member by clicking the join button below. And then if you're thinking, I don't want to go that far, but you want to support the work in a free way, you can do that by clicking the subscribe button. Thank you so much. Back to the video. Here's another moment. And this one is, again, asking the question, should Trump stop with the personal attacks and talk more about policy?
Senator Matt Smith from WISN-TV here in Milwaukee. Coming off just of everything you just talked about, it seems like some allies of former President Trump have said in recent days he needs to focus more on policy, just like you talked about, less personal attacks. I'm curious, have you had that conversation with him, and does he need to pivot, especially when you look to swing states like Wisconsin?
I don't think the president needs to pivot, and if I told him that, I can guess what he'd say.
Senator Matt Smith.
That cut off. That was funny. I can guess what he would say. Yeah. Probably, shut up, JD. I'm doing fine. And it does seem, as you can see here with the, if I can pull it up, the average of polls from 538, that, oh my goodness, Vice President Harris now has a 2.7 percentage point lead on Trump in the national average of polls. So it seems the personal attacks aren't taking her down as Trump thinks that they could. But hey, keep with that strategy, and I'm probably going to be happy with how that ends up. Let me know what you thought of that in the comments. If you want to get extra content daily and support the work we do, you can do so by clicking the join button below. And if you want to donate to Vice President Harris's campaign, you can do that by clicking the link in the description of this video.